Hey guys, it's your boy 14 Fluffies here, back from a little bit of a hiatus I had to take because my computer stopped working and I'm having to upload on a different computer now. Today's video is a bit of a discussion about how heroes can compete in today's game and what are some of the better and poorer matchups that this deck has. We're going to start off with the big five, which would be Dolls, BA, Qliphort, Nekroz, and Tellarknights. Starting off with Tellarknights. Heroes have a good matchup with Tellarknights just as long as you can keep Darklaw on board and as long as you can keep Trigger from happening. I mean, I do side in a decent amount for Tellarknights, so me personally, my matchup isn't that bad. But then again, there always are those tech choices that Tellarknight players do have. I mean, it can't really help if they flip over if they flip over Shadow Imprisoning Mirror or if they summon a Ryo. That kind of slows me down. But normally those cards aren't hard to deal with. I mean, I know Tellars don't play Mistake because they don't want to hinder their own Deneb. Shared Ride is a bit of a thing, but I don't think that they would side Shared Ride against Heroes just because Darklaw would wreck their shit. Yeah, but Darklaw is kind of the death of Tellarknights just because it stops their Altiers, it stops Nova Alpha, it stops a lot of their plays. I mean, it turns off Soul Charge, Call the Haunted, Oasis. Yeah, if they don't have a graveyard, all those cards are useless. And if you can just keep them from summoning Trigger and bouncing Darklaw, or if you can keep keep Darklaw from being Fiendish Chained, or something like that, you're good. Because if you can keep your Darklaw's effect going, you will eventually win. Next up, Qli. Qli is a very easy matchup. Just keep Darklaw on board. Don't let them summon towers, and don't let them get Sacrifice Eclipse to anything, and you're pretty much good. Because either way, if they search for if they search off Summoner's Art for Scout, you're just gonna activate Darklaw's effect, and if you hit Scout, you pretty much win. Even if they do keep the Scout, it's not that big of a deal because you can just MST the Scout. I mean, I've changed up my side deck. I mean, I've put a Twister in the side deck just for extra back row hate and extra pendulum hate. So, the Qli matchup's a cinch for me, personally. Nekroz. Nekroz is 50-50. It's pretty even. If you can keep Darklaw on board, you're gonna stop them from things like, you're gonna stop them from searching, and you're gonna stop things like Herald of Arclight from triggering. Shreet, they won't be able to get multiple uses out of Shreet. Valkyris isn't going to be live as often, because all their stuff is banished, and I believe that you can also, yeah, never mind. Just as long as you can keep a Unicorn and a Colossalus from hitting the field, you're pretty much set. I mean, as long as you can keep them from getting a monster big enough to swing over Darklaw. So just stop Trish from happening. So yeah. You're really just relying on Darklaw's effect to snipe stuff out of their hand, as well as Sighting and Mind Crush, just for that matchup, and that's typically how you beat Nekroz with heroes. Okay, Burning Abyss. I mean, I don't have too much experience with Burning Abyss, but I'd imagine that Darklaw is pretty much the death of that deck. I mean, all their effects trigger in the graveyard, and if they don't have a graveyard, they're just gonna go super minus. I mean, they'd have to go for a Dante, and then immediately slap a Dowden on top of it, just to swing over Darklaw, and chances are you're not going to let that happen necessarily. Other things they can get rid of it, if they somehow make a Virgil, they can spin Darklaw. That could be a thing, but again, they're going super minus off of that. Of course, their back row can get rid of it if they try to Karma Cut it or Wing Blast it. Yeah, that could work, but they're also going to have to go minus for that. So, it just depends. I mean, realistically, the best way for a BA player to kill Darklaw is with Crush Card, because that progresses their game state a little bit. I mean, the stuff still gets the monster they're tributing still is banished, but they get rid of Darklaw and they get rid of all the big monsters on the field, and they take cards out of the hand, and they get to send stuff from the deck to the graveyard. So that's the best way for BA to get rid of Darklaw, even though realistically, with all the back row they play, they're going to have numerous ways of getting rid of it, which is why I love 7 tools in my side deck for Burning Abyss. And lastly, Shaddolls. Out of all the big 5, I consider Shaddolls to be the hero's weakest matchup. Just because if you have Darklaw on board, they can just Shaddol Fusion for Construct and then just run it over. Which is why you need to have back row to back up the Darklaw. And it's really stupid that that should also just make a construct and run it over. And they could just choose not to activate the effect of construct. Really, construct is my only problem with shit when it comes to the matchup. If it was anything else, I could literally care less about. I mean, Winda, not even a problem, because I only need to special summon once per turn anyway. Shek might be a problem, because Darklaw can't run it over, and it can negate Darklaw's effect and destroy it, but that's not that big of a deal either. Just don't be stupid. Let's see. Mono Lilith might be an issue, but if you already get Darklaw on board, that won't even matter. So really, the only problem with dolls is just the fact that Construct exists, and because of the fact that they run the clowns now. And if they hat trigger you, you're gonna be fucked. Which is why I think Kaiser Coliseum's a very, very good card this format. Now let's see, some of the other lesser matchups. Hero Mirror Match is a bit tricky. It really just depends on who has Lance and who doesn't. If you can Lance your opponent's monster when they mash change it, you pretty much win. Especially if you establish a Darklaw turn 1. If you can Lance your opponent's Shadow Mist when they try to go for their Darklaw, you pretty much beat them. Because they don't get to summon their Darklaw, their Shadow Mist has been Lanced, so they can't mash change it. Really, for Hero Mirror Match, I almost want to side deck a card called Spell Shield Type 8, just because it can negate Lance and it can negate mash change. Not to mention it can also negate other spells as well, but, you know, it's a niche card, really. I don't really see the point of citing it for any matchup, any specific matchup, I mean. If it has multiple uses amongst multiple matchups, then I would consider it, but, you know, unless my opponent's, like, awfully fond of Forbidden Chalice, then I probably won't consider citing it. Let's see, Cosmos. Cosmos is a very bad matchup for heroes, just because Darklaw helps them. I mean, sure, Darklaw turns off Honest and all their hand traps and stuff like that, but realistically, Darklaw doesn't hurt them at all. All their stuff triggers when banished or destroyed. I mean, the only thing Darklaw really stops is Forerunner and Sliprider's effects when they're destroyed, but you're never going to be killing Darklaw with Forerunner. You're never going to be killing Forerunner with Darklaw, my bad, because Forerunner's bigger. I mean, unless you have Mirror Force, that's the only way you're going to kill Forerunner with heroes. I mean, Forerunner's a real bitch to get over. It's really hard. Unless you can make Excalibur. Because all the good stuff in heroes that would get over a monster normally, like Dark Rebellion, or like Castel, 101, those all have to target, and Forerunner just says no. Sliprider's not even a problem, because Darklaw can attack over it, but it still replaces itself. I mean, also, Cosmos do play Juraghetto, and that's going to out Darklaw immediately. Honest won't work, because Darklaw prevents Honest from triggering, because it has to be sent to the graveyard, but Juraghetto plus Farm Girl is like an instant you lose, because they're going to gain a lot of advantage. Not to mention, Cosmotown, it doesn't have to go to the graveyard to trigger, so if it gets blown up, period, it just searches out another copy of itself. I mean, at that point, yeah, unless you have Mind Crush to go with it, or if you somehow hit the Cosmotown on the other hand with Darklaw, you can stop the supply of field spells. Because Cosmotown just gives them way too much advantage in the long run, and even if you banish their Cosmos out of hand, they're just going to bring it back. So that's why I say Cosmos is a very, very poor matchup. Ritual Beasts, it's kind of hard to say, because you need to be able to stop Conahawk from going, but at the same time, Darklaw kind of helps them because it banishes their stuff. You just need to be careful with it. You just need to make sure that you can keep them from contact fusing at all, and make sure that their banished pool is very small. Which is why I say don't go for Darklaw in the Ritual Beast matchup, because it only progresses the opponent's game state further. Other potential matchups. Volcanics is alright. I mean, just as long as you don't get scattershotted, you're okay. Let's see. I believe that's all I can think of off the top of my head. Leave a comment if I've forgotten anything or neglected to mention something or a particular scenario in each matchup. Because obviously I know each matchup has their own outs to Darklaw and how the matchup works. I mean, it really is kind of shitty to pretty much compare matchups just because of Darklaw. I mean, Darklaw really is what makes matchups with the meta so much easier for heroes, but that's just how it is. So leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.